that is the movie business. Stay in school.
Well, greetings and welcome, everyone. While we are waiting for Andrea Libman to show up, we did want to try and get things going and explain to you what the Leo Awards are all about. They are basically the equivalent of, say, the Emmy Awards from the United States, but in Canada, and sort of for film and television industry.
It's for the province of BC, and it's for anything that has been produced in BC.
In British Columbia,
right,
yes.
which is the province, which is our version of the state. So that includes American programming and Canadian programming. It includes big budget Hollywood programming as well as independent programming. So I just want to be clear that unlike, say, the Emmy Awards, your thing that you do for $5 might be up against Flash.
Oh, well, all right then. That does make a lot more sense. Thank you for that.
It sure does.
That just makes victory all the more impressive.
Oh yeah, when you beat that Flash down. Yeah, precisely.
Does it have to be full production, or like at least part of it was shot in BC?
I'm not exactly sure actually about the answer to that, but certainly enough of it would have to have been shot in BC to kind of tip it over to some scale. I would say probably at least 50% of it. Or 50, I don't know if it works like this, like maybe, no, it doesn't work like that at all, so never mind that. Because you can be, it doesn't matter who you are, you don't have to be a resident. I was going to say, at least if maybe the director and the producers are Canadian, but no, because obviously that isn't how it works, because Americans have definitely won Leos.
Well,
sorry, so you go ahead.
Right.
I was just going to mention that you've been nominated twice and won once for a Leo Award, but one of them was not for acting.
Correct.
Can you talk a little bit about that? The one that wasn't for acting?
That's the one that I won.
And it was in...
It was in comedy writing, sort of for kind of, well, it was the variety category, but it was just for a sort of straight up comedy show. It was basically, the show was for, what I won for was a parody of Dateline, and so it was quite a sort of slip. In its way, it was actually an excellent satire. I think it was maybe so good of a satire that people didn't quite understand that it was a joke.
welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andrea.
Andrea, just for logistical purposes, I want to make sure I have your permission to film this.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's going to happen with this film when you're finished with it? Are we nominating it for Leos?
You can make that nomination if you so choose.
Okay.
Sorry I'm late. My schedule said 1. So
That's
I
perfectly
apologize.
fine.
It's fine, you're early in fact then by 6 minutes. So.
Peter's been...
And then we got lost.
It was good food.
It does. Sorry.
Well,
I'm not a late person. I hate being late, so.
I can vouch.
Yeah.
There was a joke somewhere in there about you being in character as Fluttershy and actually hiding under the table though.
Yeah, I was here the whole time.
We'll go ahead.
Finally got bored of listening to Peter talk about himself.
No, it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's acting right there.
well, we did want to celebrate that Peter New has won the Leo Award for Music, Comedy, or Variety Program at the Best Screenwriter for Point Blank in 2002, episode 112.
Was it?
Yeah, episode 112, it says it right here.
Okay, that must have been the one.
Yes. And for Miss Andrea Libman for being the first ever recipient of the UPCP ACTRA Award for Best Voice in her work for My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic for both Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy. So,
I should have had that one.
well, maybe next year.
Maybe.
I'm not sure he would pass the audition.
I've been nominated for it every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, auditioning for the part of Pinkie Pie?
Oh, no, not for Pinkie Pie. No, I won't. No, but I've been...
So, how many of you in the audience are here for their very first My Little Pony convention? Yeah?
Wow!
good number.
That's about half the audience. That's very nice.
So there are questions that get asked at pretty much every convention of our wonderful voice actors, and we worry about people getting kind of tired of hearing the answers, so we thought maybe we'd mix things up a little bit this time and ask Peter, could you possibly answer what Andrea's favourites are and vice versa?
Oh, okay.
I love
favorites or most common?
Oh no, it's sort of not favourite questions, but we're doing the favourite pony, favourite episode questions, and I think you probably know Andrea's answer. She probably knows yours, so let's have some fun with that.
First of all, at first it was a bit of a challenge to switch back and forth between but by now, after all these years, it's very, very easy to go back and forth, and so you do a scene and you end up just being soft and fluttershy. I'm really, really crazy when you fly! Like this, and you just go on. Everybody applauds because it was marvelous. And I just did.
Yep.
Okay.
Favorite episode?
Oh, Andrew's favorite?
Andrew's favorite episode, yeah.
Oh, it's definitely Too Many Pinkie Pies.
Oh, that was mean.
I know that it isn't, but it's fun. I know that one was a real struggle.
That was a real struggle. What's yours? I don't know what yours is. Is it the one with what's her face?
Which what's her face?
That crazy old lady pony.
Oh, that was a fun one. That was a fun one.
Applejack?
Oh no! Your favorite is Schmoopy Doopies.
No, that was fun to do too.
Oh.
I have a more recent.
Oh, I'm not up to date with what's recent.
Oh,
Oh, is it the Orchard Blossom?
Yes, Orchard Blossom. Absolutely. Good. Wow, amazing. You know me.
Yeah. We're like one. Yay.
I was going to ask favourite convention audience, but now I'm just softballing.
Oh, it's this one. It's this one.
Yeah.
The answer is always, it's this one.
So we have a few questions, and then we're going to open it up to the audience for questions. Again, if you came a little bit late, basically.
Okay, just give it up, okay? I said I was sorry.
If you came a little bit late, you're not allowed to answer any questions. So shame. Our wonderful guests can't answer questions about future episodes. Help me out here.
Yeah. They cannot answer anything about what might be coming in the future. We had a little bit with Peter New earlier saying that he can't directly say anything about the MLP movie or any future seasons of MLP episodes. So just please bear that in mind when you're going through your questions in your mind.
So if you have a question a little bit later on when we open it up, we're going to have a queue. I almost said a line there. I don't want to sound American. It's a queue. We'll have a queue going along the side of the...
Q means line.
Yes.
And, well, I'll just add to that. If you have if I know a lot of you, it's your first convention, don't worry about asking us something that we've already answered, because we're always happy to answer that for you again. We're here to answer your questions. So if you want to ask us something that's been asked a million times because you want to hear us answer it, we're happy to hear that question again. So don't worry. Right?
Yeah, I was nodding.
Peter's
I
like,
know.
no.
No, I refuse to answer that question about my two different voices. One more time.
Well, let's start with a question for Andrea.
Maybe. I'll let you know.
You received an Emmy Certificate for your work on Madeline a while back. They didn't send you an actual award, they sent you a certificate. How did you feel about that?
Very proud.
Very proud, yes. Now, how long ago was that?
A long time ago. I think it was 1990 something. 4 maybe? 94, 95? Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was cool. There was a couple years in a row that both Dragon Tales and Madeline were nominated for Emmys. Quite a few years, I think 4 or 5 years running. They kept getting nominated, which was really exciting. And then finally, Madeline won. So, yeah, I'm really proud of that.
Madeline fans, yes?
Yeah.
The French girl. side too, exactly.
Maybe. I wrote these questions and now I'm hating them.
It's a good sign.
This was a question for Peter New, actually.
Oh, you're going to do it anyway, and it's from me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're coming at it from two directions. You've won the Leo for writing. You were nominated for the Leo for acting. I was curious, what your feelings were on the interplay between those two. What it's like approaching an acting role from a writer's perspective, and what it's like approaching writing from an actor's perspective.
I guess I don't really know, because I've only ever been an actor-writer. I've only ever done both. And so to me, they seem like they're part of a continuum. I don't understand really how you approach an acting role without understanding the writing around it, the writing that supports it. And as a writer, I'm always thinking about, when it comes to the dialogue, you always sort of do dialogue last, because you're trying to create a context within which the dialogue is kind of driven to happen. So you're not just rambling in the scene, like you actually are trying to create a situation which causes the characters in the situation to say the things that they must say in order to move the scene. So as a writer, I'm always looking at that and then imagining what the perfect words are for the actors to have to say. And so, I don't know, it all just kind of is on a continuum. Does that make sense? Is that an answer to that question?
I think that works, yeah.
There was no joke in that answer.
Laugh anyway, everyone.
You guys are good.
They're really good.
You're really good.
They totally lied to me before you got in the room here about seeing the show I was in.
Really?
Yeah.
Good work.
Do it again. What was the name of that show?
Turkey Thanksgiving.
And they all saw it.
Yeah, you all saw it. It was great, right?
So dedicated.
And I played the character named
Turkey.
Lurky.
I never told them.
No, I didn't think so. You're mean.
Yes.
What?
It was called Junior. So there you go. Next time we quiz you.
You can't leave the room without answering a
That's
skill test.
These doors are locked.
We do have someone at the back who's going to be handing out Scantrons and number 2
He's actually going to find them now.
Yeah, it looks like he's running back there to find it right now. Oh, there you go.
I was only joking.
Thank you for that, by the way.
That brings back a lot of really scary memories.
Stay still.
They still have those?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
It's not computers yet?
No.
It's not like a robot that doesn't
You're
test for
assuming
you?
efficiency in school management.
Yeah,
And budget.
it's true.
You're assuming they can afford computers in school.
And we're veering towards politics.
Yeah. What's going to happen if you don't keep asking this question?
Well, then, here's another question.
Okay. Now, Peter,
Yes.
the 2007 Hotshots short film contest, The Bar. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what went into your work for that?
Sure. There is an event in Vancouver called the Celluloid Social Club, which is a monthly event that screens local filmmakers' independent projects. And they decided that they were going to offer a prize, which amounted to about $50,000 in budget for a short film based on the script. So we read the script out and submitted our scripts and whatever, and I think there are about 90 entries or something, and my script, called The Bar, which is the worst thing about it, is that it is titled that badly, won, and we got to make it. And because the Celluloid Social Club is so connected to the filmmaking community there, it got produced by Gary Harvey and Susan Nielsen, who were making a show called Robson Arms, which was a hit Canadian show for a couple of years, and they produced, and we got Peter DeLuise to star in it from Stargate and 21 Jump Street. And and we made it. It was fun. It's a funny film. It's online. I think it's on Funny or Die.
Nice.
Well, you're going to go home and watch it, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, and then Turkey Hollow.
That wasn't a, lie to him thing. That was actually go home and watch it.
No, I will.
Is it appropriate for all ages?
There are a couple of lewd jokes, but I don't think there's any swears in it. There's implied nudity. Maybe there's a bum.
Before we continue, and before they're escaping out the farm, there goes the co-con chair. I was going to embarrass them and make everyone give them a round of applause for the excellent job that they're doing, but they're gone. So
Forget that.
never mind.
Whoa! I was kidding. I'm just saying. Like, they laughed.
That's my turn to what you mean.
I guess that's true.
Fair's fair.
You did do the snapping.
Fluttertook. Yup. Yup. What are we doing?
Last question, I guess, from us then, really, unless you've got some more you want to
Go right ahead, yeah.
I feel like I'm taking over, and that's bad.
No, you
I've done these before, and Dr. Wolf hasn't done one before, and I
Oh,
think he's doing a
it's
fantastic
learning
job.
experience.
Yes.
I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone and take part in these. You get in front of a large crowd, a panel audience, and it suddenly feels a lot different when you're hosting on behalf of other people who you know are drawing a far bigger crowd. You feel like you're supposed to be holding them up, and I'm like, well, do I have the right stilts in place? I don't know where I'm getting these from.
They help themselves up there, they're awesome.
Yeah.
So they hate each other, really. It's...
No. Mother.
Well, my question then was, given that the theme of this panel is awards that you won in the Leo Awards and the other awards we talked about,
So embarrassing.
It is kind of.
all those huge numbers of awards that you won because you're awesome.
Yes.
One.
She doesn't like being told this for some reason, but you all think she's awesome, yes?
Yeah.
I actually thought that this panel had changed because I looked at the program guide and then I saw this other panel that was called Ask the Main Six. I'm like, oh, that's probably what I'm doing. They probably changed.
You can go to that one if you want.
That's where I was actually. Before, no, I'm just kidding.
She likes them better than us.
No, that's not true.
Why does it always have to be about likes?
Too much time on Twitter and Facebook?
Fair enough. Yeah.
So the question, was there a question in there somewhere? Is it important to you sort of personally to have your work recognised by your peers, or do you think the sort of the work kind of should stand for itself, or is it a mix for you?
I don't think it's important, but it is nice. I mean, I don't think anyone can deny that getting a nomination or getting that recognition is a huge honor, and it feels amazing. I'm not going to lie to you. But, I mean, but it's not important. It's not why you do what you do. It's just like a lovely icing on top.
Yeah. And I think, like, too, especially for the UPCP Awards, which is, UPCP is our performers union, and they do their own awards, so it's only people in our union that are nominated. And I feel particularly for that show, it's like, it really is all about the nomination and that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And then the ceremony is just a blast. It's just
Yeah, it's really fun.
really silly.
Yeah. Too
And
much fun.
all of us did, like, we all don't really care who wins the category,
No.
especially in the boys category.
Yeah.
We're all friends, and we all
The
think everyone-
first year was the most fun because they had it set up like tables, like more.
I wasn't there for that
Well, it wasn't the most fun then.
one. Yeah.
But it was nice because now it's in like a theater, but before it was tables, so it was like you could have your table and just be social, and so all of us voice actors were together at a table, and it was fun. But yeah, we all, I think, as a community of voice actors in Vancouver, we just love working together. It's such a great group of people. Like, we're so fortunate. Like, there really aren't the egos that you might find in some other acting worlds. Like, it's just like so many talented, kind, funny, amazing people, and we enjoy spending time together. So it's like, we got nominated, we get to spend a night out together, and,
Hooray.
and so it's fun.
And I just feel like whoever wins it, we always just feel like, oh, I'm really genuinely on a list of people who all deserve this award. So
Yeah.
whoever wins it, everybody I think would be just celebrate it. It doesn't matter who wins.
For sure.
But it's definitely an honor to be nominated. It really is the honor because it's your peers.
Mm-hmm.
It's other actors nominating you, which is very, very flattering. Humbling.
Well spoken, very well spoken.
I'm glad you think so.
Well, we wanted to open up the floor for questions directly from the audience, and we figured it probably would be a little bit easier if, between Foal Papers and myself, we picked out people who have show of hands, and we'll go one by one. Just remember, don't ask about anything upcoming, and keep it short and direct if you can. We'll repeat the question up here, make sure that everybody can hear it, and
keep the questions kid-friendly as well.
Yes, everything needs to be PG. Absolutely. All right. So why don't we start with this young lady up in the second row here?
How did you get into voice acting?
Oh, okay. So pretty standard question. How did you get into voice acting? Peter, you want to start us off?
I didn't really try to get into voice acting, actually. I wanted to be an actor. I tried doing sketch comedy locally around Vancouver for a lot of years, and then eventually realized I was not going to be discovered, because that's not really how it works. You actually have to get an agent and go to auditions and things. And so I started to do that, and my agent started sending me to voiceover auditions because I kept doing not-so voices when I was in the office, essentially. So then I started booking on-camera stuff before the voice stuff came in, so I just kind of went, well, I guess I'm an on-camera actor, and occasionally maybe I'll do some voices, but about 10 years later it completely flipped.
Cool. It's so funny, like I think Peter and I, like I've done more panels with you than anyone else, and we really could almost answer for each other for some of them.
You want me to try and answer?
You want to?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I was about 6 years old, and I auditioned for my first voice show then. Did you audition?
Audition? Well, I went to, my mom took me to an audition in the paper.
In the paper, right, the paper. I forgot that detail. Damn it. It was an on-camera audition.
Yeah.
Right, because you did like X-Files and all those things when you were quite young.
Yes.
And when did you do your first voice?
I started doing radio just around that same time, so it was probably 8 or 9.
Like ads or like DJ?
Yeah. Ads, yeah, commercials. And I think I did my first series when I was 8.
Around what? And then, why don't you just go from there? It's like a silly game.
The first series I did was called Dino Babies. I don't know if you know it. And then shortly after that was when Madeline started. So I kind of, did the voiceover thing throughout school. And then I thought, I know I'm going to get my adult voice and this is going to be over. Still waiting. So I went to university and I got a degree in engineering, just in case. And then, right around...
Stay in school.
Yeah, no, I think it is good to... Because voice acting it's really up and down. It really is, it's not a steady paycheck. You just really don't know when you're going to be working and what you're going to be earning in a year. You have no idea. So it can be really tricky. And then right after I graduated is around the time when My Little Pony came about. So it's just crazy. It's crazy.
I have to say that's something I'm really still learning myself, but you go ahead. Twilight Sparkle?
Okay. If you two had to choose some other voice in My Little Pony, which one would it be?
This is a tough question for me now because for a long time my answer was Dr. Hooves, and then they gave me Dr. Hooves.
I don't know. Like I think the same. I feel so happy with what I have, and then also for the characters that already have voices, like you just can't imagine it any other way. That's another question to go. Oh, can you switch voices? Like what would it sound like if you did Twilight? And it's just I like only Tara's Twilight, like only Tabitha is Rarity. Like they just they're so a part of that character. Like it's just
it's funny because you know like I know with ponies you probably auditioned for several of the main 6, right? But sort of on day 1 of the recording session, you kind of listen to the way the other people that got the job did it, and you go, oh wait, well that's why I didn't get that, right?
Yeah.
That's happening, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
And it's weird how quickly I know on Pet Shop I auditioned for Vinny and for Russell as well as for Sunil, but I couldn't tell you anymore what voices I tried to give because the day I walked in I heard Kyle Lida do Vinny, whatever it is. I can't even, like, it's like, yeah, okay, that's great, perfect, done.
Yeah.
Good casting. Good to go. Should have done that. But you can't.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, how about this lady in the red hair in the middle here?
Hi there.
Oh.
I was wondering if, because your voice is such an integral part of what you do, is there anything in particular that you do to maintain your voice, and or do you have any superstitions associated with, giving a good performance?
So this is about maintaining your voice and superstitions about giving a good performance.
That's a good question. I don't really do anything to take care of my voice. I think the number one thing is to try not to get sick, because when you're sick, you can't work.
Don't smoke.
Don't smoke. That's true. That's true. That's kind of it. I mean, getting sick is it's kind of a silly thing. It's like, oh yeah, don't get sick, but it's so important, because it's not just we don't get sick days, right? We're contractors, so we only get paid to go in. And you might have booked something like, say I booked a radio ad on Monday, and I get sick and I can't go in. Well, they're going to call the next person on their list, and I can say goodbye to that paycheck that I may have gotten. So getting sick is it's unavoidable, some of the time, but it's really important to try and stay healthy.
And on that note, like sometimes you'll see us, if you come into the autograph room, sometimes you'll see us pumping out the hand stuff. And that's not personal, right?
No.
We sort of have decided that, I think, after doing enough of these, sometimes it's worth saying that out loud in front of a room full of people.
Definitely.
This isn't personal, it's just us trying to protect our voices, because we shake so many hands, and you guys know at a convention.
Yeah, so please don't hug us or shake our hand if you're sick.
Oh,
Please. Because that could really mess something up for us. Or if you have a big audition and you can't do the voice you want to do, you could miss out on, imagine if I was sick the week that they were casting for My Little Pony.
Yeah.
Right?
And somebody else gets that.
Or
somebody else that's how serious it is to be sick. So, yeah.
Even you would have ended up as Fluttershy.
Probably would have ended up as Iron Will, to be honest.
Gentleman there, you had your hand up.
So, as professionals in the business, what advice do you have for aspiring actors, voice actors, or singers?
I think everyone heard that, but advice for aspiring actors, voice actors, and singers.
My advice is always get involved. Acting. Voice acting is the operative word in voice acting is acting, not voice. So get acting. Get yourself on a stage in front of an audience. Get an improv troupe or comedy troupe. Get yourself into community theater. Find auditions on Craigslist, because I guess they don't do newspapers anymore. Just get involved with it, because every time you put yourself on a stage or in a class, or anytime you read a book that has valuable information in it, you are improving your craft. And like I was saying before the panel officially began, that you do need to constantly be working on your craft. You need to be constantly finding a new voice, finding a new accent, finding a new piece of information that helps you. You have to continue to learn, or you stop creating. So get involved. You can't just sort of sit there and watch through the glass. The glass is in your mind.
Yeah. No, seriously, that's a perfect answer.
But real life coaching is probably better, but I mean, Skype is better than nothing, because anything that you can do that you feel like is benefiting you, even a little bit, you should be doing.
I think too, wherever you are, there's always may not be a lot of voice acting resources, but there's going to be acting resources. There's going to be local improv, theater, drama training, and I think that's just as important. I think people get really focused, I want to do the voice thing and I need voice training. But as Peter said before, acting really is the base for that.
Yeah, ultimately, everything that we do is still based on scene breakdown, right? It's all about what's happening in the scene.
As a follow-up to that, you mentioned sort of needing an objective view, or an objective ear, I should say, on your work. A question I think often comes up is, how do you make yourself open to criticism and critique that might not be what you want to hear from people?
Just keep practicing.
Yes. You have to be that is. I would say like one of the biggest components of the job that we do. Like, if you can't take criticism, don't get into this business.
Really
like, that is, like, you really have to have a tough skin because,
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good you are or how successful you are. Someone out there is going to hate you.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah.
Gentleman in the rarity t-shirt has been waiting.
I've been. How's it like working with Tara? How's it like working with Tara Strong?
The question is, how is it like working with Tara Strong?
It's great. We don't work with her directly too much, so we record as a cast in Vancouver, and she's located in Los Angeles, so she records her dialogue separately. So we have done a few episodes together as a cast, which is a blast. Love having her, but otherwise it's kind of, she's on her own.
I have never been there on that day.
We get lunch.
Okay. Okay, let's go with the gentleman in the gray t-shirt over here.
Okay. As a follow-up to that question, I've done a little voice acting myself, and I know that there is a difference between speaking lines into a recorder and then actually being there with the person with whom you're dialoguing, being able to bounce off of what they're doing in the inflections and the emotions of what you're expressing. Do you find that difficult if you're separated?
Okay, so the question is the difference between speaking your recording lines when you're on your own versus if you're in a recording booth with someone and you're bouncing off of their inflections and their emotions and such.
I think most actors prefer the interaction, right? We love it. It makes your performance easier, more creative. You get ideas from your cast. But the reality is you have to be able to do both because there's times when that's just not possible. You have to pick up your lines. If you're doing ADR, which is when you're recording a show that's previously been done in a different language, and you're going over top of that, the animation's already been drawn, you're always alone. When you're in your audition, you're always alone. There's no one to read, there's no reader, so you just have to imagine the other. So, yes, way better to do it as a group, but not always possible.
Yeah.
Question in the back from the Wonderbolt hat.
My question is kind of two parts. Once the show wraps up, what do you see yourself doing as far as interacting with the fandom, whatever remains of it, and as far as continuing on with your professional career?
Everyone hear that, or shall I repeat it back?
Repeat it.
Well, I mean, everything, all good things come to an end, right? I think probably both of us are going to try to keep being actors, you know, in whatever form that takes. But I think you never really know as an actor what your next job is going to be. So, you know, keep doing that. And as far as interacting with fans, as long as the fans want to interact with me, I'll keep talking to you guys because you guys are awesome.
How about this lady in the middle here?
Yeah, how much leeway do you have to kind of adjust and add the words that the writers give you?
Okay, this is about leeway on the script that is given to them, how much they can adjust their lines to better fit what they think should work.
It totally depends on the producers and directors and who's ever in the room. There are some shows where you cannot say one line, one word differently. On those really strict shows, you could maybe ask to do an alternate line and then also record it as written. It just depends who's in the room, and maybe those producers aren't even there, so they're saying, no, we have to stick to the script so that they at least have that. My Little Pony is a lot more loose with that. We do a lot of rewriting during the sessions, and if you say, I really think my character would say this, they'll say go for it. So we have a lot more freedom, but that's not always the case.
I find that too, it's character to character sometimes, because I know for a couple of seasons there, I kept trying to rewrite my yup to be like, your sister's right, or something, you know. And they're like, no, don't say that. But then with Dr. Who's, Mitch, who wrote that episode, he's not a Doctor Who fan, so he didn't really know how to write a Doctor Who character, so he just kind of wrote Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
Oh, that's so different.
I know, right? They wanted it to be Doctor Who-y, so I, being a fan of Doctor Who, I put the LOZ in for instance. So it just depends.
Do you find it's usually with Mitch Larson that you have to kind of rewrite?
Basically, I write his episodes.
Oh.
You too, huh?
Yeah. I wrote yay.
Question from the front.
Silly question for Andrea Libman, but could you do any tongue twisters with Pinkie Pie's voice?
Yeah, did you have one written out for me? You want me to just make one up?
Yes.
Which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches?
Which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches? That's a hard one. Yeah, that's a good one.
You try it.
Okay, we do have a question up here in the front.
Crap, I actually have two potential questions. I'm trying to choose between the two of them.
Well, let's start with one.
Which one do I want?
Okay, that counts as your question. Which one do you want to ask?
You want to ask the first one.
So this is a question for Andrea. Now, if you remember in the episode Philly Vanilli, Pinkie Pie is very hard on Fluttershy in that episode, and I think a lot of fans agree that they didn't like Pinkie Pie's behavior in that episode, and obviously that's not your fault. That's what the writers.
Of course not.
So people complained that she wasn't likable in that episode. You did awesome as usual, though. I'm not nothing to do. What are your thoughts on those criticisms, the writers, for that episode?
Did everyone hear that? I think no matter what you do, no matter what the writers do, no matter what we do, there's always criticisms. It kind of comes, with being a part of a really popular show with a following and people who really care. And I think that's kind of the positive side of it. When the fans are unhappy or they're speaking about something, it's like they're so invested, they care. So even though you're not always going to get 100% positive feedback, but it's because you care so much, and there's nothing wrong with that. So hopefully they listen. I mean, I think it would be such a hard job to be on that end of it. Kind of listening to what the fans want, wanting to make the fans happy, but at the same time they want to, create their own storyline and their own processes, and so I think it's a tricky job that I don't envy.
I also wonder if I can ask sort of a follow-up to that. I also wonder, we all have bad days, and we all have moments where we're not as kind as we'd like to be, or not as supportive as we'd like to be, or whatever. And I just wonder how much of that, I feel like sometimes with these characters, people want them to be absolutely consistent.
Perfect, yeah.
And I feel like I kind of like that they sometimes aren't. I kind of like that they're sometimes a bit crap to each other because
that's real life.
Because they're tired, because they haven't eaten.
Yeah, was that directed at me?
Yeah, because they're late. Because they didn't stay in school.
Who didn't stay in school?
No, we didn't say. We just had a little.
Okay.
I just love saying stay in school. It's really fun to say stay in school.
Really stalking.
Yeah.
Sometimes the bad example of that.
Question for Peter. This season you've been having a lot of speaking lines with that episode with Orchard Blossom, as well as the one where Twilight took Starlight to go make friends. How do you feel about that?
That's two different seasons.
I'm impressed that you know that.
I'm wondering if, with any job that you work on, if there are times when you record the voice that you're doing and then you watch whatever the animators produce and are really confused by what they put around your voice.
Because it's a different person?
Yeah.
Because that happens.
What?
Oh yeah, you'll go in to do something and then they'll decide they want to do a different direction that wasn't right. They're not going to phone you and tell you oh yeah, by the way, Like, they don't care, right? And then you may watch the show and you're like, oh, tell all your friends, like, I'm going to be on this show, and then guess what? You're not. That happens all the time.
Oh yeah, I did.
Like, all the time.
And on camera too, I did an episode of Dark Angel years ago. It was a nice little scene. I had a nice scene with not the main lead, but the other lead, and I was a janitor. I mopped the whole floor. I got shot a bunch of times. I died on one of those floor polishers. I got hauled into the other room and dropped. There was all this action surrounding me, and I told everybody, come watch Dark Angel. I'm going to be on Dark Angel. I'm so excited. Cut. Just not there. Yeah.
That's what's important.
So you would get paid for the session, but then you would never get any of like the release stuff. Right?
Yeah, no, I never.
So like you would never get So it's actually not that great. Like it's something, but it's
it's something, but it's not. I think they put me in the DVD cut of it. So
oh, that's good. That's good. Yes.
Yeah, so I got something.
Yes.
All right. I did want to mention to everybody we have only just a few minutes remaining, so maybe 2 or 3 more questions. Can we get a show of hands?
Who still has questions? Maybe young lady there, gentleman there, gentleman there, and that.
Is this an auction?
Yeah. Okay, quickly then your questions, please. Young lady there, gentleman there, and then we'll figure it out.
All right, Andrea Libman. When Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy are talking back and forth, is that one recording where you just switch your voice constantly, or do you record just Pinkie Pie's lines and Fluttershy's?
I just switch back and forth. It's really